And at that point, it's not even a coup. You just take that shit over. You know what I'm saying?
Discovery Channel also does Bigfoot, and they also do Ancient Aliens. And all this. It's like almost conspiracy 101 now.
He wants your tax money.
Yeah.
Because take a look at Washington State. We got all this water, but for some reason it's not green because of the fucking fish and deer and whatever's going to get sucked up into it.
A boozy caramel on it.
Fed them to your drunk wife.
Yeah.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And just like a red, white, and blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday, February 2nd, 1:12 p.m. It just switched over. I watched it happen.
1:12. Welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary on weekly news, pop culture, and sports. Excuse me. Built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. Join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and continue our endless efforts to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I am Colin.
I am Donovan.
And coming up on this week's show, we have kind of just a really long catch-up session. Don's been a little busy lately, and he'll explain to you why. But we're trying to just get old Donovan here caught up and up to speed. And then, we're going to hit Venezuela. We're going to hit, God, there's just a ton of stuff.
Shutdown, Roger Moore, Democratic candidates.
Some abortion law.
Yep. Who doesn't love abortion laws, right?
Yeah, right. It's been it's kind of been weird, too, because a lot of this stuff happening, it's been during as the tail end of the shutdown and all this stuff.
Yes.
And it's interesting now, too, that there's still a lot of news, political news, even during a government shutdown.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
It was definitely slow in the beginning, but as it started to build and then other shit started to happen, like with Venezuela really started to pop off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Roger Stone,
Yeah, there were some heavy hitters, man. It's going to be a good show.
It was quiet within the Capitol, but within politics itself, there was definitely some noise going on.
Yeah. And so we have been kind of off for like the last week in a weird way.
Yeah, we said in the pre-show that missed 2 weeks, and then this is the third week, and we're back now.
Yeah.
So that's what we decided.
But it's been a long time, and you've been very, very busy.
Yes. So, also talked about this in the pre-show, but Dax, the son, the boy, he was born on the 21st, so it was beautiful. My wife did an amazing job. It was 8 pounds, 12 ounces, 21.5 inches, which he shrunk because his head was like so long and fucked up shaped. But he
had like a cone head.
Yeah, super cone head. But he's good now. It's beautiful. So we've been back home we went home on the 23rd, which was cool. So we've been there since then. I've been off, spending time with my family, and obviously not doing this show, but I'm doing it this week, and I'm back to work, 2 weeks from now. Not this next week, but the week after that.
Yeah.
I hate this.
I hate this.
So it's gonna be a good time. I'm really, really excited to do the show today. I just been pent up. Been pent up, bro. I don't have cabin fever, but I've been pent up, and I didn't realize it until I'm here.
So you're like almost cabin fever.
Yeah, I'm good to go. So I was telling you before we started this, right? I have like a lot of time to think. So I was thinking about the social medias, because Facebook is the worst, right? And I also realized when I was watching the videos this morning that I fucking still don't look at the camera. I really I did for like one episode and then forgot about it. So,
well, it's kind of difficult sometimes because like me and you are having such a conversation.
And I just think more about the audio, that's just where my mind goes first. So, excuse me. So I've had a lot of time to think, right? So Facebook is the worst. I've always hated Facebook, and I especially hate it now because I was saying that it's easily the most divisive social media platform of like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I'm so glad, like, you're like I have more people in the same team as me. I think Facebook is just utter garbage for the most part. As we just finished up a Facebook live stream.
Yeah. I also realized that Facebook gets everything last, right? Twitter gets everything first. All the memes, all of the everything. Everything happens on Twitter first.
Everything.
And then it goes to Instagram generally because people will screenshot their tweets and then put them on Instagram, right? And then it goes to Facebook last because when you're on Facebook, you hit that switch for it to go to Facebook.
Yeah.
So it goes to the top of your Instagram feed first, but Facebook is also so decided by things that you like and comment on and shit, which I also don't like about Facebook, but it's done so much that way that it's really hard to get things up there. And Twitter is the same way that I didn't even realize that if you go to your Twitter, it's showing you the top tweets and not the latest tweets as they happen.
Yeah.
You have to like set it to do that, you know, which is really shitty because that makes it really hard for people like us to try and get out there because it's already set in motion what people are seeing because they've already liked shit. So now that we've come along and we're offering a service that people might actually genuinely like and they might think it's funny, the poster and shit that we're putting out, they're not even fucking seeing them.
Yeah.
We're just like, how shitty is that? How unfortunate, you know, that you have to get it in front of people, but that's a whole deal, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that I'll see something on Twitter and then 2-3 days later I'll see it on Facebook. And people
takes
are like,
a while.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this is so fucking funny. I'm like, this isn't even funny anymore. Like it's dead already on the internet. And that's why people say that Facebook is for old people because it's those people that are like getting it last and because they don't have a Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
They have a Facebook for sure, maybe an Instagram. So some of them are getting it earlier. Most of them are just getting it on Facebook. So that's why they say that Facebook is for old people.
Yeah.
They don't have no Twitter, so they're getting all that shit.
I'm just trying to think. You remember that old lady that called us Democrat demons?
The demonic Democrats.
Yeah. What platform did you get that on?
Oh, that was on Facebook.
That was on Facebook?
That was on Facebook.
Yeah, that makes...
Most definitely.
That makes so much sense. Oh.
Yeah.
And you said you've been playing a lot of Red Dead, too, lately.
Yes. In the moments that I have where I am not doing something in the house. Because I also been doing a lot of general housework, you know, laundry, fucking dishes, shit like that. Bottles all the fucking time. Always. You never...
Mr. Mom.
Never have enough baby bottles. I also decided this morning before I came here that I am not going to be that guy that always talks about like not how hard it is having a baby, but like, you know, this is how much I slept last night and this is, you know, what I did.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And like all this shit and fucking shits all the time, pukes all the time. Oh, I puked on this morning. Like, because I think that's annoying because I'm not the first person to have a baby. People have babies every day, you know? So it's happening all the time. Like, it's not a unique circumstance, you know, which is like the same type of way I felt about the gender reveal parties, you know? It's just, it's not special. Like, it's not a unique thing that it needs to be an event, you know?
Like, I'm not into it, man.
Yeah, the coolest guy at my work, you know, he does that shit. Like, he'll come in and be like, you know, I fucking was up this time, and then this time, and this time. And Drew called him out for one time. He said, so you act like you're the first person to have a baby. And he said, so that's like the first time that I brought it up, and all of us at the same time we're like, yeah, right, son. Dude. It's like when, and we're like, all the time, dog, all the time you are talking about how little sleep you got last night, and then come in here and like bitch about it. And like, we don't care because we didn't make you have a kid. We didn't ask you to have a baby. You did that yourself. You know, like this is a choice I made, so I'm not gonna talk about. Like I told you, you know, like this sucks, but that's different. Like we're best friends, you know.
Yeah,
but I'm not.
And
gonna,
I know what. Yeah, and that's totally different.
Yeah, and you know what's up, but I'm not gonna like sit here on the internet and be like, having a baby is really fucking hard, like because. No shit. Like, because no shit. So, man. So when I have time, like I said, when I'm not doing domesticated man work and I'm not doing like real man work, I am absolutely playing Red Dead any moment I can, especially in the morning because Jordan will wake up more during the night. And then when he wakes up between 3 and 6, like whatever time in there he wakes up is when I will wake up because I'm like ready already to be awake at that time, you know? So he wakes up at 3:30. I'm like, work. I usually wake up at 4. So I'm okay to be up at 3:30, like way more than Jordan is, you know?
Bro, that makes me tired just thinking about it.
So, so I'll be up with him and do whatever and feed him, and he eats really slow. So like if he's eating like a 4 ounce, like a big bottle, you know, it's going to take them like 45 minutes. It takes them forever to eat.
Oh, yeah.
So that shit just gets annoying, but that's fine. That's just like a regular, some babies just eat really slow.
Yeah.
And so, you know, change the diaper, all that nonsense. And then by that time it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I'm like, well, I bought a coffee pot. Because I'm a real dad now. I'm a real and that's what I decided. Like I'm having coffee every morning when I wake up, so I'm a real dad now. I'm like,
yes,
that's where I'm at. So yes, I bought.
How do you take your coffee?
I'm working on drinking black coffee. Because, so I still like put a little bit of creamer in there and shit, you know. But I also bought just like heavy whipping cream and stuff to put in there to like. I'm working my way. Yeah, there you go. So because
just don't fuck with the sugar,
right?
Or the, none of the fake stuff. Just put a little cream in there. That's legit. I get down with that.
Yeah, so it's been a good time. So, you know, if he goes to sleep at 4:30, I'm like, well, I'm going to play Red Dead until Jordan wakes up. Like,
definitely.
That's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
So, and he'll sleep for a while in the morning like that. And so I'll just sit him on my lap, you know, because he like loves to be held when he's like up like that. Sit him on my lap, play Red Dead, bro. Awesome. It's a great time. That's a really good time. I'm really excited. The Super Bowl is tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm really excited to
the
sleep part of it and watch it like this. I'm like, this is the best Super Bowl ever. You know,
yeah,
it's gonna be rad. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Super Bowl, man. What
Rams Pats?
Yeah, what's your thoughts,
man?
We could save that for sports if you want.
Yeah. We can. I'll tell you. I'll tease it, right? Because I'll tell you, I'm definitely in a tough spot, especially living in Washington, right, like this close to Seattle, being a Hawks fan, you know.
Yep.
Fuck the Pats because I hate the Pats. I hate Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Partially because I'm a Hawks fan, partially because fuck Tom Brady. Because
exactly.
He's the best, and motherfucker does not need a 6th ring. Just retire, you piece of shit.
Yep.
But also the Rams are in our division, and I super don't want them to win the Super Bowl because they're like in our division. Like that just rubs a little salt in the wound that we got our ass beat by Dallas by fucking 2 points. It's, no, irritating. Because the Rams always beat us too.
Always,
the Rams,
man.
even when they were shitty, the Rams always beat us, which was so irritating. The Rams would be fucking 4-0 or 4-12 or whatever, and 2 of those wins are when they played the Hawks. It was stupid.
Sad.
Yeah, so we will talk about that more in sports, but I am definitely torn about who I want to win the Super Bowl. So let's hit the social medias real quick, and then we'll pick our fucking first topic. Because it's going to be a little grab bag style show today just because we got all these different ones. We're just going to go as we feel comfortable.
Exactly.
You
know? Well, in the meantime, you can always follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Salt of the Streets. We smoked a little bit beforehand, so my mind's a little slow right now with the plugs.
You got this.
We got our weekly blog coming out on Thursdays.
Yes.
We have the podcast on Mondays. We got the pre-show video on Mondays as well. Yep. We have the Facebook full video on Tuesdays.
Yep.
And got the live stream on Saturdays.
All that on saltofthestreets.com.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Am I missing anything? Was that check?
Personal social medias, alpaca_Donovan on Instagram, Salt of the Street on Twitter.
At Big Bird Offie on both the Instagrams and the Twitter machines.
There you go.
Boom. Plugs in.
It's been a while. You guys, you're going to have to give it. This week is going to be a little bit weird. It's been a couple weeks because the last ones we did, they were not quite traditional style podcasts anyway. So
yeah, this is true.
Yeah. So
I've been on the mic a lot lately too.
Yeah, doing different stuff. I like the shit that you've been doing.
It's a fucking lot of hard work. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, it is.
I like this so much better. Like there's something fun about doing like this little thing all on its own, just you. It's like your little thing.
Yeah.
But goddamn, it's a lot of work.
So we have all those topics, and then I also watched this morning the last press briefing that they did, and I'm not sure.
I didn't watch that one.
I'm not sure exactly what day it was, but it was just a couple days ago, and it was Larry Kudlow, who I believe is the Secretary of Economics or something like that. John Bolton, excuse me, Steve Mnuchin, and Sarah Sanders.
Oh.
And it was wild because they came out to talk mainly about Venezuela. It was when they announced the sanctions on Venezuela. That's what this press briefing was for. And then they also talked, obviously, a little bit about the shutdown and stuff like that. At one point, Sarah Sanders got asked by a reporter, what advice would you give to people who are affected by this shutdown? Like, should they start saving their money in this 3 weeks? You know, because we'll talk about this, but like, they're, you know, the government's open for 3 weeks. So like, should they save their money for 3 weeks? Should they this? And she said, you should write your Democratic congressman and you should tell them to do their jobs and, you know, concessions and all this and all that. And I was like, God damn, dude. It was wild.
That's so fun. That doesn't surprise me at all.
She got asked about, one dude asked about, because there was a report that came out that one of President Trump's resorts, maybe Mar-a-Lago, hired illegal immigrants, right? Did you see that?
I heard about that. Yeah.
So she got asked about that, right? Like, how can the president, you know, it's hypocritical and all this stuff and whatever. And she said something like, fuck. She argued that by having illegal immigrants as employees, that President Trump was one of the people that identified the problem.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. I was like, are you fucking serious?
I think I saw something about that like yesterday, like floating around the Twitter.
That is the biggest spin I have ever seen on anything. That, like,
even from her too. Like,
yes,
that's
a reach, dog.
And Kellyanne Conway can stretch the truth.
That is up there with the, you know, they're not lies, they're alternative facts. Like, that's up there with, like, did you really just say that? Like, you know, that doesn't make any sense, right? And she's almost like smirking when she's saying it. They're like, you know, this is bullshit. Like, you can't even convince yourself that might be the case. You know that's bullshit.
Man.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
If those guys were really active on like Twitter and like were a Twitter personality, can you imagine the insanity?
Just the trolling that they would get just constantly.
Constantly.
They got asked about, like, Larry Kudlow. He said that these trade talks with China were the broadest and most comprehensive trade talks that the U.S. has ever done. Ever. And then he got asked.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was so huge.
One reporter asked him about a report done by the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, that said in 2019, the deficit, like the yearly deficit, will be $900 billion, right? And then 22, it'll be $1 trillion. And every year after that, it'll be, you know, over $1 trillion. And then by 2029, it'll be a 93% debt to GDP ratio. And so he asked Larry Kudlow, he's like, so, like, what do you guys say about that? You know, like, this is obviously unsustainable that at that point you're literally not making any money at all, you know? Yeah. So you can't possibly hope to pay anything at all, you know, with 7% money that you're making, like, which is fucking nothing, right? He said that the White House disagrees with that. Right, that's not going to be the case because the CBO report anticipates 2% growth, and the White House anticipates 3%, and so that's why. And I don't know enough about that report, but this is what Larry Kudlow said. Yeah, that the CBO report says that, like, they're going off of a 2% estimated growth and not 3%. You know? So that's a huge difference, and that they also anticipate a strong budget with 5% non-defense cuts is what they anticipate to come out of Congress.
Wow.
Yes.
So, 5% across the board with
of non-defense.
Yes. So anything not under DOD.
Yes, 5% from that somewhere is what they anticipate to come from Congress.
Which is what, like, most people would call, like, for the military. When politicians say they support the military, that's what they're talking about, like, funding that branch.
Exactly.
Man.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Now that is weird when you think about it, like, because obviously, that it's just not fundable. At the end of the day, the numbers are what they are. And I don't understand how people can be, especially right now, there's so much talk about, like, this hardcore. We'll just leave it there. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it was really interesting. They also, do you want to talk about Venezuela? What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Venezuela first? Because that's I think I
want to talk about Venezuela.
Because that's kind of what this press briefing was about too. So it'll tie into that, because Steven Mnuchin came out first, right? Because We have a little recap of Venezuela. I also think that we talked about this before, so I think so. I'm gonna look through the archives and see if I can find the episode where we talked about Venezuela and link back to it. So Venezuela is a disaster economically. Their money is worth nothing. Everything there is crazy expensive. No one can afford anything. It's horrible. A box of tampons costs like $100.
If you can find one.
If you can find one, it's fucked up. People are literally eating out of the trash.
Yeah. So dogs are literally being roasted for food because people are dying of starvation.
Yes.
And have been for
a long time.
A long time.
Yeah. And so after that happened, because there was lots of reports probably about a year ago, where that was really big. People were reporting on that.
Yeah, because I think it was like right as he got right before leading up to that election, and then all the fraud that was around it.
Yes, and they also then Nicolas Maduro is the president, quote unquote.
It's like the president in exile or something.
Something.
I don't know
that.
What you would call it.
And so there was an election not that long ago, just maybe 6 months ago or so, within the last year.
It was in 2018.
Yeah, so within the last year, there was an election that is widely regarded across the world to be a farce, in which he was reelected to another 6-year term, right? Mm-hmm. So there is also what is called a National Assembly there, which is like a parliamentary system, Congress type of deal. That's just what it is there, right? And so
kind of British in style more than ours.
Yeah. So Nicolas Maduro, he's a bullshit president essentially because he has no actual claim.
He's basically and he's essentially kind of a dictatorial presidente, anyways.
Yeah. So the leader of the National Assembly, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
What is his name? Juan Guaido.
Guaido.
That's what it is, right? So Juan Guaido. He offered to become the interim president, right? Because there is a rule in their constitution, an amendment in their constitution that allows somebody in the National Assembly to take control of the country if the president has been elected illegitimately, which is exactly what happened. So Juan Guaido has the actual political legal right to be president and has been sworn in. But Nicolas Maduro, at least as of now, has the support of the military.
Yeah.
And that's what's keeping him in power there.
Yeah.
Like that's where the difference is. But people are starting to take to the streets and like there's starting to be riots. It's going to be
today. He had called for another protest in Caracas today. It's happening right now.
Juan Guaido.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So the other day, Steven Mnuchin came out and they announced who is the Secretary of what the fuck is he?
The Mnuchin, like the Secretary of Treasury or something like that.
That's what I think he is, Secretary of Treasury.
He's like the who of the economic branch or the executive branch.
So he came out in this press briefing that we were talking about and announced sanctions on Venezuela. They're not going to allow almost anybody to do business with Venezuela because I have some notes on companies that are going to be allowed to do business there. And they said that it's going to do $7 billion, like it's going to take away $7 billion from them in one day and $11 billion over the next year in oil, right? Because that's what Venezuela has. They have the world's largest reserves of oil underneath
Which I was surprised to kind of realize that they have more than Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
And it's all owned by the government, right? The big company PDVSA, that's what it's called.
Yeah. They've fully nationalized their oil industry.
Yes. And so what America did what they did is they are not going to pay Venezuela for any more oil. And Mnuchin even said in this press briefing, he's like, if they want to keep selling us oil, that's fine. But the money that we're giving them is going to go into like a locked account that stays in the U.S. until, that's transferred over to the rival power. We're not going to pay them for that. There's oil that's in the water they're going to allow to keep coming here because they've already paid for it. And so they don't expect any really any effect on like gas prices or like people or anything like that, because they're only 3%. Venezuela's only 3% of America's oil that we purchase, like that's coming in. So,
isn't that weird that they're the biggest, but we still get most of our oil from the Saudi?
Mnuchin even said that we are a net energy exporter. And that is part of the reason that I would imagine that that's part of the reason that we're only bringing in that much, but probably also because I would also imagine we've taken some steps away from Venezuela, in the last years,
especially over the last couple of years.
Yes. So
after Hugo Chavez died and he named, Nicolas Maduro the successor and everything.
Yes.
It all started to go downhill.
Yeah.
And then it got really bad this last year after he was reelected, fraudulently.
So Maduro said that these moves were unilateral, illegal, immoral, and criminal, right? Mnuchin, he said that PDVSA has long been a vehicle for embezzlement for the government itself, for Nicolas Maduro and the people within the government, right? And the national...
You think about it. If they're like the world's leading producer of oil, they have the potential, however short term, to be one of the most, like, the richest nations in the world.
Absolutely.
Easy. I mean, it hasn't always worked out very well, but it's happened in the past.
But they have the potential to be.
Yeah. And as long as you have a backup infrastructure, you'd be amazing. But he's been embezzling all this money and putting it in offshore hard currencies like dollars and euros and in gold, and then keeping it out of the country.
And that's why their money is not worth anything.
Yeah.
And the National Assembly estimates that $30 billion has gone missing from the state oil company in the last couple of years, which would obviously begin to explain the economic unrest, the dissolving of the currency. I mean, that directly ties to all of that. If they like you said, if you're taking money out of the country, it's not circulating there anymore. The money's not going to be worth shit.
Exactly. I mean, especially with the way they nationalized it, like everybody should be getting a check every single month from the oil industry.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
A percentage, dividends, if you will.
Indeed.
And so there was a guy, Russ Dallin, who's a managing partner at the Caracas Capital Markets, right? His idea is...
Yo, that's racist, B.
Because like I said, Mnuchin said that the money that they're paying Venezuela is going to go into an account that's managed by America. Because there is also a company that is called Citgo, which is the American arm of PDVSA.
Oh.
Right? So they control like 3 or 4 refineries in America, right? So that money from here goes to Venezuela. So Nicolas Maduro also said that... Man, I have some other quote here, but it doesn't matter. With this measure, they're setting out to steal the Citgo company from all Venezuelans, right? Because all that money that's being made from Citgo is going to go into that account. It's not going to go to Venezuela.
Yeah.
And so the idea that Russ Dallin had is that money that you're paying to Venezuela for the oil and the money that's coming from Citgo, you should take that money and you should put it into an account and give it to the National Assembly.
Yes.
And give it to Juan Guaido so that he has that money. He can pay people, because at that point, he's already in talks with members of the military. He's already talking to people, but they don't have money. They're getting money from Maduro. They're actually getting paid. It makes sense for them to stay there. If you can pay those people, they got no fucking reason to be there to support Maduro. And at that point, it's not even a coup. You just take that shit over. You know what I'm saying? So I like that idea a lot. And I think that it's interesting that that's not being discussed more widely.
And unfortunately, they can use that as propaganda against it too. Yes. That's what Maduro is going to do. He said, even though I'm stealing all your money, the little money that I'm letting you guys have, now they're taking a little bit more of it.
Right.
It's like that's but that is the interesting problem that Guaido faces now. He did what he did because it's in their constitution. Yeah. This is a constitutional thing to do, and so he's doing it. But he only has 30 days to hold re-elections. And the problem is that's you don't have a way to fund the government right now because Maduro has control of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just can't make it happen. But it's weird because it does need to happen. But to do that, you're going to have to break their constitution.
It is there. You may not know this, but it's something we can try and look up. Is there like a limit on how many times they can invoke this amendment? You know, if the 30 days runs out, can they do it again and like maybe just pick somebody else or something? You know, like if Juan Guaido can only do it one time, I don't know if it says anything like that in there. Where I don't know, we would probably have to try and get access to the actual. You know,
but that would be.
We would have to get hands on the document to really. I'm just kidding.
That would seem like a really good idea, though. Just playing around with it.
Just keep doing it, you know.
Just keep. You know, it's weird because it's a 1 year election cycle, maybe, right?
Yes. Or 6 years.
Yeah, but like if you, they're full presidential one.
6 years.
Yeah, but if you have like a shorter term limit, that way if you only get elected for a year, there's no real political, there's not much time to get anything done politically, and so I would think help corruption. Maybe. But how long does it exist? We don't know. I need to look at that. That sounds, because that could be a game changer.
Right. Because I'm saying, like, if you have half the National Assembly that is taking that 30 days to pick a new person if the 30 days runs out, and the other half that's trying to get an election going to actually get somebody in office legitimately, then at the end of the 30 days, when it's over, and then Nicolas Maduro tries to say, hey, I'm the president again, you'd be like, no. This guy's the president now. Like this, he's the interim president for another 30 days until we can scrap up enough cash to get this going.
Yeah, because I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be really interesting.
But it seems like if that's...
And in all the conversation, all the podcasts that are talking about this right now, and all the articles, I haven't heard anybody mention anything about that.
Right.
So
because it seems backwards that if, like you're saying, if they need the funds to be able to get an election done, why are you not just giving that money to Juan Guaido? Because you definitely have. John Bolton said that there is the embassy there has been essentially emptied, right? That most of the people are gone, that there's not anybody really from America there anymore, and the safety conditions are being monitored in Venezuela constantly, right? Says to me there's obviously CIA on the ground, probably FBI on the ground. There are feds there, right? Making sure everything doesn't go super crazy, or maybe trying to make everything go super crazy. However, they're being directed at that time, right? But there's absolutely ways to get that cash in the hands of Juan Guaido. In cash, you know what I'm saying? In straight dollars. Ship it over there. Like, there is a way to do that. So
if you knew where it was.
And I'm saying even the ship from Citgo, if you have it, because that's an American company, it's a Venezuelan-owned company that's in America, right? If you're taking that money and you're putting it in an account, why can you not give that to Juan Guaido?
Exactly.
What the fuck is happening there? Because that seems like the way to get it done. That seems like the way to get him in office is to get him that money.
I mean, for us, though, to legally be able to do that seems interesting.
Nicolas Maduro says that it's illegal for us to be taking money out of Citgo anyway, because it's a Venezuelan company. That we're holding all of the money.
Well, I mean, but that's what a sanction is. I mean, that allows you to do stuff like that, which is, what pressures the other country to kind of work with you and be like, okay, this is hurting us. What do we do? But I mean, I see that's just playing out. And, have you heard anything about the John Bolton alleged notepad notes about military and troops?
I did see that, and I was confused by it. Right in the article, it said that he was brandishing a yellow notepad, which I did see the legal notepad that apparently on the top said 5,000 troops to Colombia. Which I was not fucking vigilantly watching the tape, but I did not notice broadly or blatantly any notations on his notepad that I could see. I don't know, because he also got questioned by somebody about Colombian troops being in Venezuela, because supposedly there's 25,000 Colombian military in Venezuela right now, which is a violation of some code that I don't remember what he said, about troops of another country being in a sovereign nation, because right now Venezuela is just kind of doing their own thing. So I'm not sure. I don't really know how that would be done. I don't.
I mean, there's some people that are looking at even the little involvement we have now is potentially assisting in a regime change for,
Oh, I would be surprised if, like I said, the feds that were there are not having some direct hand in what's going on. That there's at least not one dude walking around with Juan Guaido that's like, this is what America thinks. This is kind of where we're at. Like, yeah, I'm, a CIA agent, something like that. That's like, that's his job, an analyst, and then a guy with a gun next to him,
Some NCIS guys.
Yeah. Some shit like that. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case already right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's what the CIA does.
That's exactly their job. Yeah. So I feel very confident that there are people there actively working with what would be called by Nicolas Maduro the resistance there, that are trying to get not a dictator in power there, because they would also probably really like someone that's like wants to put a real democracy in there and not like a socialism democracy.
Oh yeah, we're all about spreading democracy, man.
Yeah, that would be more up America's alley. Yeah. So it's an interesting deal. I don't even want to say interested or intrigued to see how it turns out, because those feel like disingenuous. But whatever the more intense word for that is, that's what I am to see what happens. Because I think that it will be interesting, and I hope that it turns out okay, because there are people dying there. There's a humanitarian crisis. Yeah. Also said they're going to put up some money. I didn't write down exactly how much money, but for like medical and food supplies there, Yeah. And I'm like, motherfucker, you are always bitching about sending money other places, and now you're like, oh, $30 million. Let's, send it.
Gotta protect democracy.
Fuck you, man. That shit's so irritating. And I listened to...
Sounds like such a John Bolton thing to do.
I was at my grandma's house when President Trump announced that he was ending the shutdown, right? Yeah. I was there, and I was holding the baby, showing him off and stuff. And so I watched that Rose Garden, briefing there. And it's horrible. It's like, so I watched it again this morning, and have you watched that?
I don't think so.
You should, because it is probably a third just straight fear mongering.
Yeah.
Where he is talking about women and children having duct tape wrapped around their faces and around their mouths and being thrown into vans and taken and, raped and whatever and blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. And like,
The Daily did an episode about that.
It is crazy. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be talking about it, but it's crazy that that's what the president is talking about. That cannot be classified to be anything else other than fear mongering. You know what I'm saying? To be talking about people being raped and murdered and fucking kidnapped and thrown in vans so as to try and push forward your agenda. Yeah, that is fear mongering.
It's much different when the Daily does something like that.
Yes,
because it's an actual informational
and
piece.
It's a fucking podcast. Yeah, it's not the president.
Exactly. This is an official government. The top chair of the nation.
So bad.
That's why I have a problem with all his Twitter spouting off. It's like, God, that is just... It feels... I can't help it. I know it's 2019, but I can't help feeling like it is just beneath the President of the United States to get onto Twitter and just start trolling people. I don't like it.
I almost would rather the president not put out anything other than cookie cutter fucking like, today I signed this piece of legislation, or like, I would really love to welcome, so-and-so person from so-and-so country. I would almost rather it just be shit like that than for him to really be able to say whatever the fuck he wants. Like, I would rather his Twitter account be more like @POTUS than @real Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would rather have, is a little more @POTUS, because that is...
Yeah. I don't want the man behind the mask.
Like, it's so bad. It's so horrible. And you can tell, one of my least favorite things is you can tell when he goes off script. The tone in his voice changes and just his mannerisms change. And it's like, fuck. It's why?
That last episode we did when we watched the thing, you're like, no.
It's so bad. Like,
don't do it.
It's so bad.
It is.
I just don't... and I'm sure some of it is comparative, because I think we've also talked about this before, but regardless of how you feel personally about Barack Obama, he's an incredible public speaker, incredible orator. Like that's just a fact, right? Yeah. So I'm sure part of it is just comparative, that the last president we had was such a great public speaker, and this one is such a shitbag at public speaking that it's even worse,
Yeah.
But
it's like pouring salt on the wound.
It's really bad. Yeah.
So frustrating.
Because I will straight up be the first to admit that when he stays on script is good. Like, it's not bad. His rhetoric is just fine. But when he starts to go off and he's like, it's true. It really is.
So true.
Like,
it's
that's
just
when
so true.
That's when shit gets bad. And that's what I really don't
it would
like.
be one thing if there was ever any substance in it. But it's these little branches of conversation that you have to take that go absolutely nowhere. And I don't want to hear that, man. You're so bad at this.
It's horrible.
He dances around the point all the time. It's like, that's what it always feels like. You just never get anything. There's nothing in the middle. It's just a fucking donut.
Yeah.
Just a circle that goes around and around. Drives me nuts.
It's a circle.
It's a circle. It's round.
So
what movie was that?
That's
Wedding?
Chuck and Larry.
Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. I think the only last thing that I have on Venezuela is that John Bolton also said that the president has made it very clear on this matter that all options are on the table, right?
Yeah.
Which really just means the president, unsurprisingly, has not ruled out military intervention in Venezuela. I would be surprised if that came down to be the case, but if it pops off too heavy, I also could see us sending some National Guard down there, some Marines, some shit like that, you know, to like...
Well, that's the worry right now because Maduro still has the control of the military.
Yeah.
And with an underfunded government that has to just pop in out of nowhere and run everything it's got to be, it's a pop-up democracy all over again, you know. We're trying over.
Do you think that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. It's tough to say what would happen because they have no force behind it. It's all, there's no teeth.
What do you think the likelihood is of, instead of actual military intervention, we supply weaponry and funds
to the Contras?
Not to the Contras.
It sounds really interestingly similar.
What would be probably called the new Contras, you know, in Venezuela. And because I think that's more likely to happen first, right?
Yeah,
that we would,
civil war breaks out,
and we would give them revolution. We would give them weapons first, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, if that is the case, that it takes the same path that it has in Afghanistan and all these other places that we've talked about?
I don't think so. I
think so.
No, it kind of would be. I think
you don't think
it's just a different, because one of the reasons why like the thing in the Middle East and stuff is so prolonged and just never ending is because there's a massive cultural difference.
Yeah.
Venezuela, not so much the same.
Being in South America.
Yeah, because this is more like a socialistic problem.
Yeah.
Than anything else. And, you know, we've done a lot of that kind of stuff in Central America and stuff over the years, and you know, it hasn't always worked out great, but in the long run, maybe not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, better track record than the Middle East. Anyways.
Much less likely to end up in some type of terrorist group or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely could see that.
We're at the risk of sounding ignorant. Where's Boko Haram? Is that in Africa? Is that where Boko Haram is?
I believe so.
Which
is essentially it's like the African arm of Al Qaeda, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
There's some kind of weird, like they're like cousins in a way.
Offshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very, very active.
Right.
You know, it's scary. But I don't know if it would come to that.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's just fundamentally a different problem.
Well, I don't know. It depends if all these terrorists that the president keeps talking about are really in South America.
Yeah.
They're really in Mexico. Then maybe. I think you're probably right. It's probably more likely to end up in some type of drug trade, those weapons, than anything else having to do with terrorism. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, it'll just be a different beast.
Yes.
And it might be one that is temporary.
Yeah.
If the worst were to happen. I wouldn't say the full worst, but the worst would be completely open revolution. And you'd
Straight
have
civil war.
Yeah, just a straight civil war, and
Blood
we'd have
in
to
the
back the
streets.
new. And that's kind of the scary part about it is these are not. This is an established government already.
Right.
They're just kind of outcasting their thing. They just have no funding.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it would. I just don't know if we've really seen much of that before. It's not like a rebel group because it's like a legit government.
It's a legitimate. Actual, it's because you can't even call it like really a rebellion force. It's like an opposition group.
Yeah,
that's what it is, like a political opposition group that has actual legitimate legal standing, but no military backing in that country.
Yeah,
like, that's the only deal. That's very interesting.
That's what a revolution is, right?
Yeah,
but it's a modern day, revolution in something that was essentially a democracy,
right?
But now it's not. It's very, very strange. It's very interesting, though. And it's kind of a twisted way because you're just essentially looking at the big picture, what's going to be in the history books.
Yeah.
And you're missing, it's easy to miss the everyday suffering that's going on. Like in Syria, all that stuff that was going down. Yemen. It's just there's so many people dying. But you don't talk about that. It's more big picture.
Right.
You just overlooked the tragedy part of it. It's that old Stalin's, one death is a tragedy.
Well, and I think the deal specifically with Yemen, right, is the hand that America has in it. And that's why nobody wants to talk about it. Or at least not anybody in the government itself,
Yeah, but since we're pretty clean from there.
Because people are...
it's a socialistic kind of, basically kind of weirdly communist at the same time that we don't like that still.
Yeah, people are definitely reporting on what's going on in Yemen, but like the government does not want to talk about that because you then have to acknowledge the, like all the things that we've talked about, the money that's flowing from us to Saudi Arabia and then into people dying in Yemen. They don't want to talk about that shit. Like President Trump would rather just talk about all the money that he's making from Saudi Arabia as opposed to what's happening with the weapons being sold to them.
Don't look at how the sausage is made.
Don't worry about that. Look at this big stack of cash I got over here.
Look at this.
Look at that fucking wall I just built with this cash from Saudi Arabia. Look at that shit.
Ghost ride the wall. Ghost ride the wall.
So I think that's all that I have for Venezuela. Do you have anything else for Venezuela?
No, but I had a really good segue, and I totally just lost it.
Do you want to do a quick little
on the shutdown?
Yeah. So on the 25th, the government reopened. That's when the president came in and announced that he was signed a measure. Was going to reopen the government for 3 weeks until February 15th. Mm-hmm. And so it's a 35-day shutdown. And at that point, they're going to use this 3 weeks, hopefully, to try and get a budget passed, which was also irritating because he talked a bunch of shit about, Democrats not doing their job and all this stuff. And like, they passed like 5 fucking bills in the House. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
And Sarah Sanders did the same thing. She kept talking about Democrats, doing their jobs. And like, you're an idiot.
Do your jobs by voting what we tell you to vote.
An idiot, yeah. I
just
did
pass
not like
it. We're smarter than you. Just pass it.
Yeah. And the Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, he caught a bunch of shit because when he got asked about, he said something like, "Well, I don't understand why any federal employees would go to food banks. Why they would like use any for services like that. I don't know why they wouldn't just go and take out loans, right?" And Ben Carson, the Secretary for Housing and Urban Development, he said, well, people don't want to take out loans because there's interest on loans. So you don't have money right now. And so then you're going to get your pay, and then you have to pay more money back to the bank than what you just got paid. It's like, that doesn't make any sense for anybody, right? And there's even people... So I think my only point with this, right, is that last time I was here, we talked about something that Riley asked us about, which was why didn't these people save more money? Right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's certainly some people who probably lived very frivolous lives and spent their money in maybe not the best ways. And they could have saved more money and prepared better for this, right? There's also people who are like landlords for Section 8 housing and like people who are subsidized by HUD.
Yeah.
And by Housing and Urban Development, Those people have no choice in that matter. Like those people could not prepare better for that if they're having to pay their mortgages on their different apartments and their different properties that they own.
Yeah.
Like if HUD doesn't get paid and they don't get paid, they lose all those properties. There's nothing they can do about that. It's even then, they're not making enough money to be able to pay for, like I heard one woman, I don't remember on what it was, The Daily or Up First or something like that. She's got like 10 properties. She doesn't make enough money in profit off that every month to sustain her life and pay the mortgage on all 10 properties for X amount of time until she gets paid again. Like,
yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of fucking money. A shitload of money, especially if you own apartment buildings. It's a fuckload of money that you have to pay in a mortgage every month.
So
and
much.
If you're not getting paid from HUD, you will lose that shit. Because if you have...
Quick, fast, in a hurry.
And there's also people who, anybody who just bought a house recently or anything big, like no bank is going to want to give them more credit because they just pulled out $400,000 in a line of credit to buy a house. They're not going to want to loan them any more money because they just gave them $400,000.
Yeah.
Like that's good. You can't get two credit cards too close together. Like they won't let you do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's just I think that shows that there is a severe disconnect at that level. Looking, I mean, these people, you got to understand. I mean, these are they may not necessarily be the richest class of people in America, but like these high-ranking political figures
are certainly not middle class.
They're certainly not middle class, and they just live a completely separated life from all of us. And so when he said, I don't know why people don't just go get loans. Like I know I get loans all the time, and I literally have millions of dollars, and it's not a problem. I don't see why you can't just go get a little $2,000 loan,
right? Because
you don't know how it works, man. No bank is going to give you a $2,000 loan if you just got laid off,
right?
You do not have any incentive for anyone to loan you any money if you just lost your job.
And there's some banks like I know that like Navy Federal Credit Union, like they're loaning people however much money they're supposed to get in their pay, and then as soon as they get paid back, it'll just get taken right out of that, you know? And there's like no interest loans or what the fuck ever. But there's some banks, there was a list in this New York Times article that I read, like Chase Bank and something like that like don't do personal loans. So if you bank there, you can't even go and get a personal loan. Like that's not an option for you. You have to go to another bank if you're going to try and get a personal loan. And even if you can get a personal loan, I don't want to take out a personal loan. I don't want to do that. That sucks. I don't. Again,
like you said, I got to pay all my back pay back.
Yes. Plus interest because you didn't have your shit together when I pay your fucking salary anyway, but I should have to pay more money back to the bank for you to take from them. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That doesn't make no fucking sense. A way to charge the American people again for the fucking shutdown. Just go take out a loan,
it's
man.
Good for the economy.
Yeah.
It'll stimulate the economy.
Fuck you, dude. Like, that is bullshit. I absolutely agree that it shows an insane disconnect between those people and the people that are actually being affected, the federal workers that are actually being affected by the shutdown or were being affected by the shutdown.
And that's a perfect segue into another kind of aspect of that I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
And that was that the job numbers came back from during the shutdown, right? And there was a ton of new jobs that were added. A ton.
Yeah.
A shit ton. And it was weird because unemployment rate also ticked up like 0.1%. I think it's up to 4.0 now.
Yes.
But So just coming from a business standpoint, I hired somebody recently that I got from the furlough.
Yes.
And so I can see how that could have possibly good aspects for the economy.
Well, so
especially from a libertarian point of view.
So let me ask you this, right? Because I wonder if saying that jobs went up, I would wonder if those federal employees that were furloughed, right, that did not lose their jobs, but were furloughed, but went and got a second job.
Oh, but
are both of those jobs, but are not quitting, but are waiting until the government reopens because they don't know, 2 weeks in, they don't know that it's going to be 35 days. They just know that it's been 14 days and I got to go get a part-time job because I need to check.
Yeah.
Right. So are both of their jobs counting towards that number? Because they're still technically employed by the federal government. They're just furloughed and aren't going to work. And now they have a second job working at a fucking Hobby Lobby or whatever the fuck, to get a paycheck until they go back to their regular job. Are both of those jobs counting? Or just the one job that they're working currently at that time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, does the
I don't know how that works.
That's what I'd be curious for.
Yeah. I think it's because it's generally geared, I think, when they do job numbers, it's all private sector.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep track of the federal numbers, but nobody ever talks about that.
So then that would make sense as to why the job numbers would at least continue to go up. Yeah. I mean,
now I'm curious if they'll go back down.
Yeah, because they've been growing slowly.
Yeah.
Consistently and slowly, jobs have been going up, and then like wages just started to go up within the last couple of months. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But
I just got another raise.
Someone tried to.
The economy's good right now, man.
Word. I had a good Christmas.
Yeah.
Someone tried to make an argument to me one time that the unemployment numbers were going down because people had more than one job or something like that. I guess people had multiple jobs.
That's weird.
And I was like, but they count the amount of unemployment claims, not like people that aren't working. Like, because if you're just not working, then they're not going to count you as unemployed because they barely know that you fucking exist. Like,
exactly.
They're counting unemployment claims, not people who aren't working.
Exactly. Yeah, they may keep track of those statistics on the side just to see how many people can, if you're only working a part-time job, then that's all you can do or something. You can get some kind of benefits some places.
Right.
And so we don't know how many people those are, but it still doesn't matter because that's not what we're counting. That's weird. The whole, it's apples and oranges. You're talking about a totally different thing, man.
Yeah.
Totally different.
You work in a strange place.
Yes, you do. Provides great conversation. But so essentially, Trump said something about State of the Union's coming up on Tuesday.
Is that when it's going to be? Is on Tuesday?
It's going to be on Tuesday. And he said he'd have an announcement on, something about border security and the shutdown and stuff like this.
I'm sure.
But, we're, 1 week into reopening? I think we got 2 more weeks left.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens because it's a 3-week stopgap funding essentially. And it was contingent on, essentially Congress figuring out an immigration plan, which, again, it's the same argument that we've been having during the shutdown. But now it's like, okay, we'll reopen for a little bit. You guys figure it out in 3 weeks or else.
Right. Or else the government will shut down again.
Yeah.
Because the president has said, Sarah Sanders has said, that they're not afraid to do that again. She would continue every time she was asked, so, like, is that an option? Are you guys going to not do that? Because I guess there's been talk about passing a bill into a law that makes it, like, illegal to shut down the government. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, some such shit. And she's like, well, we don't want to shut down the government. Like, we don't want to do that. Like, so, we just need the Democrats to do their job, so we don't even need to talk about it. And they're like, but wait, we're asking you if you would do it. And she's like, well, we don't want to do that. Like,
we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Just say, we don't want to do it. But you're going to do it? We don't want to do it.
Yeah, you bitch.
Yeah.
I hate her.
I'm going to smash your hands with this hammer here. I mean, I don't want to do it.
You're not giving me any choice.
You're not giving me any choice. I got to do it. So, no, you don't, man. We could always not do that and still just fund the rest of the government and figure out, just work on getting a better funding plan. You're not happy about the situation now. Got it, but it is what it is. Why does everybody have to go without a paycheck? Let's just fix it while it's still working in some way.
Well, and there's also like SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, like those services are going to run out of money. They only have so much reserve funds to go in. And at that point, those benefits stop being put out.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge problem. There's a lot of people that are on food stamps that regardless, again, of what your opinion is of people on food stamps, because I truly believe that a majority of those people need those benefits. You're going to have a fucking huge problem on your hands if those people can't get food. Like, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
If you have that many people that can't get food, that's a big problem. I don't
want to say a Venezuela problem, but
bad shit.
Yeah. You can't have that. And so, it just doesn't make sense in my mind. Again, we've talked about the shutdown so much, but
I almost want to say, I don't know if that's the case, right? And I don't think that will be the case. But if that's the case, that SNAP benefits run out of funding and people go without them, like there is the first period where people don't get their food stamps, I don't know how he sees a second term after that. Yeah. I don't know how that's even feasible for him to get a second term. If he,
I think as a reasonable mind, I don't see him getting a second term regardless.
I don't anyway, but I didn't think he was going to get into office the first time. So
Right.
I'm trying not to rule it out, but I'm saying that truly I feel strong enough that if people go one term, one cycle
They
without
miss
SNAP
one,
benefits,
yeah.
he will not see a second term.
Hell no.
He will not.
Because a lot of those people, I think he supports.
Federal workers and shit.
Yeah, I think they support him, and that's it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. The moment that his base doesn't get, the people in his base that have those benefits don't get them.
Well, there's been talk about the people from his base being unhappy with the Venezuela thing.
Yeah.
There's been people talking about how him reopening the government for this 3 weeks was gonna negatively affect his base.
Well, because he was saying, that he thinks that the people who support him the most would tell him to keep doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't fucking believe him, but if that's the case, if people are reporting that they are pissed that he's opening up the government again, then I guess that is true.
I mean,
I've
heard people say that, especially down, he gets these certain Border Patrol agents that they'll say that, these really high ranking ones and stuff like that. But, I will say, like, the Coast Guard did a really good job of being public and doing what they were supposed to do in the media during the shutdown without blaming the government, like pointing fingers too bad
at the actual.
There was a couple of them where you had like the admiral of the Coast Guard or was chief petty officer of the Coast Guard maybe that made a video and was saying just because politicians can't do their jobs, and I don't think he's ever going to get in any trouble for that. But
no,
they were.
It's not like it's not true.
Yeah, but they weren't supportive of it. They were just supportive of their people. They didn't render much of an opinion,
right?
Other than this fucking sucks, and we're doing what we can,
and we're not getting paid.
Yeah, but they did now. They got their back pay.
Yeah,
that's good.
It came through finally.
Yeah.
I knew they'd already passed the bill. I just wasn't sure exactly when it would come through.
And my little fucking minion at work, it was tax time, right? We got W-2s and stuff out, and he had already gotten his return back.
What?
And I said, wait a minute. When did you get it back? He's like, and this was like early this week. And I was like, okay, well, I guess technically the government's open, so I'm not that pissed.
Man.
But it still seems soon.
I don't know. Filed my taxes yet.
I mean, April 1st. They're due. But I don't wait until April to file my taxes.
No, we just picked up Jordan's W-2 like yesterday.
Yeah.
So I am, or the day before. We got it by the end of the legal deadline just so that her fucking work is protected. Jesus Christ. But I think I'm going to try and get it done this week before I go back to work.
Yeah. I just know I always end up having to pay taxes. And so I'm like, let me just put it off one more month.
Yeah. Also, my fucking kid being born fucking 22 days late. What the fuck, dude? They just increased the child fucking family tax credit, man. I want that $4,000. Give me that. What? Fuck, dude.
Oh, you missed out on that.
Next year's gonna be sick, though.
Yes.
So that's what's up. I like that. We'll see.
That's so funny.
They was not happy about that. Like, I love you, but fuck, dude, you fucked me over.
Well, I mean, in his defense, her due date was always in January, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But so this is on you.
Yeah,
this is your fault.
I know I did this. And he's just fine. He was like the perfect size, so he's good to go.
He is awesome.
So he's perfect.
First time I ever held a baby.
You and your wife, it was weird. Which, just so everyone knows, they literally didn't say anything at all. Like, both of them allowed me to hand them the baby, and then was like, by the way, I've never held a baby before. Like, what? Who does that? Who does that and doesn't say anything about it? Apparently the offies.
Apparently.
So,
Well, I just never really thought about them before.
yeah, that's pretty funny.
I've held like toddlers,
But not babies.
not baby babies,
Not infants.
but I've seen it done so many times. I know all the rules.
yeah.
I think I did a pretty good job,
You did. It was gold.
like a pro.
Like a pro.
Took a big hit of that vape pen. Now I'm like coughing over here.
So, what do you want to talk about next? Do you want to break me down some Democratic candidates?
Oh, dude, sure. This is just good old fashioned fun for me. As far as like newsworthiness,
Yeah.
it's really not that much. It's kind of more for the insider political people
Yeah, because one of our
because this is fun for me.
fans, the Salty Balls,
Salty Balls.
yep, Josh K, he hit me up this week and he asked me like, what do you think about what's his name, Charles Schultz?
Charles Schultz
Is that him or is
Yeah.
that the guy who did Peanuts?
or Howard Schultz.
Yeah,
So,
Charles Schultz did
Howard.
Peanuts, right?
Yeah.
So
Peanuts.
yeah, so Howard Schultz, he asked me, he was like, "What do you think about like him, being in the running?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, I don't know shit about Howard Schultz. I don't know nothing about his politics. Second of all, I don't give a fuck about all these people who are saying that they're running for president. Like,
Me neither.
let me see you in like on stage at a debate. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then I'll talk about what I think about what you got going on. But I'm not going to start throwing around speculation about all these people, like I said, that are saying they're running for president. Like, if you don't even raise enough money, you can't even actually be there. So I'm going to wait,
Well, all these people, I will preface that they have already formed exploratory panels, which means
already have the dollars.
that's just always what you do first,
Yeah.
and then you officially declare. But a good number of them have officially declared,
Yeah.
which is just really interesting, especially looking at who they are.
All right.
It's like, this is
who
let's
you
get
got?
some good old fashioned infighting between Kamala, not Kamala. Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
'Cause now she actually said that a couple weeks ago. She's like, my name is Kamala.
Not Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Well, and she said, like, when President Trump got elected, that she was going to run next time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been waiting for that. And I know
She got in some hot water though recently.
because she used to have some for her, like some old conservative shit. Is that what you're talking about? Or
It was her support of what am I thinking? Medicare for all.
Oh yeah, the Bernie Sanders plan.
And there was she kind of made some step backs, some walk backs.
Because she said something about like, who needs the private sector, And then then her team were like, well,
essentially she
that's
was
not
looking
exactly
into it. Sounded like she was hinting at abolishing the private insurance industry,
Which is crazy.
and a straight nationalization of healthcare. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. There's a lot of problems, and I think, and maybe I have some mixed feelings about insurance companies and the way they run their shady fucking business. But it's a good idea still to have it. Let's make it not as shady.
Yes,
Let's
definitely.
maybe regulate the insurance company a little bit, just to say, okay, this is how this operates.
Definitely, it should be an option, for supplemental coverage.
I mean, think about it. With as much reliance as we have on the health insurance industry, you would almost want it to be regulated as similarly to a utility, like PSE and stuff like that.
Right.
Your electric companies, your water companies, stuff like that. Maybe it's kind of like that social media. Should we be regulating the internet like a utility? But maybe that's another industry that that's the way our system works now.
We're just not.
We just need to make sure it don't, we don't fuck with it. It can still be privately run, but it's government subsidized and essentially government regulated.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like talking about that stuff, but every now and again it's like, well, I'm not that hardcore of a libertarian. I still like things like, your everyday, police officers, fire departments, all these publicly funded
driver's license.
I still like some of those things, man.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the seatbelt law. I don't know why, but
Because it's safe. It's for safety.
yeah, freedom, but let's be smart, people. It's not all just be stupid. But
So
interesting thing about Howard Schultz.
Yes.
Well, no, I'll skip him for later. Okay. Elizabeth Warren, as we know, she got really weird and drank beer on social media.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to have a beer.
Yeah. And her poor
Honey,
husband.
do you want a beer? No.
The latest, however, was Cory Booker,
Word.
Spartacus. he declared.
I like that. That's funny.
Yeah, Spartacus was hanging around Newark, and he officially announced it in his home state of Newark, New Jersey, which, he was mayor of, I believe, for a long time.
Really?
And, let's just say Newark isn't the greatest place to live.
He's kind of a douche.
He is a douche, man. Come on.
Yeah. So,
Kirsten Gillibrand, our lovely robot, Hillary Clinton 2.0.
Yeah.
And let's see, Tulsi Gabbard is still doing her thing.
And I don't know dick about Tulsi Gabbard. You were telling me about her before. But.
She had some skeletons in her closet that it kind of came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if just purely on a candidate forum now, is she too tainted to even mess with? So I don't know if she'll even have any legs. A bunch of her staff left.
I'm not willing to write anybody off at this point.
At this point.
You got a motherfucker that said grab him by the pussy who's sitting in the Oval Office. So
this is true.
I'm not willing to write anybody off. And that's like the shitty thing about 2019, the 2020 election. It's like, who knows? Dude?
Who knows?
Who even knows?
I wish the
this
Republicans...
motherfucker might get primaried. You know? Like,
I wish the Republicans would push to put a replacement up.
Oh, yeah.
But there's too many of them that had converted to, Team Trump.
I think they might. I think that's certainly a possibility that he gets primaried. Yeah.
Especially depending on when he goes to hit the campaign trail,
And there's so many tweets to be tweeted in between now and the Republican National Convention.
That's so exciting.
And they can pick whoever they want, They can totally Bernie Sanders him and just fucking bone him,
Dude,
and just pick someone else anyway.
But I don't think there's enough like of the underground.
There's so much time. There's so much time in politics.
I just wish I had that much faith.
Like, we got to wait and see what happens in Afghanistan. We got to wait and see what happens in Venezuela. We'll see what happens in China. He's talking about meeting with North Korea again. Like, there's so much.
Is he going to have a legal battle with this, possible thing he's floating around with the declaration of a national emergency?
Yes, well, and the Roger Stone shit, and which I don't know that much about, but all this stuff that seems to be circling closer and closer, into like whatever's going on, and I don't know what's really going on, but the people who are getting picked up are getting closer and closer to the president.
Yeah, and you keep hearing it. People keep saying it's getting close.
Yeah,
it's getting close. Yeah, I think it's getting close in Bob Mueller's time. I don't think it's getting close to like our time.
No,
it's going to be a while yet.
No, but they started with Papadopoulos and have worked their way now to Roger Stone, who's like apparently like this with the president, or was like this with the president. So
Richard Nixon tattoo on his back. That is so weird to think about when you see him. That is so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in. That was one thing we were going to hit. He got arrested. His house was raided. His offices were raided. And he's out on bond now.
What did he get arrested for?
But he is charged with obstruction, witness tampering, and making false statements.
For what? Do you know?
Some stuff that he's, essentially it's like lying to the FBI and Congress. It's the obstruction stuff has to do with a lot of the through witness tampering, because he's been so public lately and saying a lot of things. And even during the investigation and all that, it was kind of, you could essentially be witness tampering because you're talking to the witnesses before the trial and all this stuff.
And we don't know yet what supposedly he's lied about, just that they're saying that he has lied. Is that true?
And I think it's his involvement in communications with WikiLeaks. And then, therefore, Guccifer 2.0 and all this stuff. And, there's another guy that's involved in it,
right,
too.
the WikiLeaks. Okay, now I remember. Yeah. Right. He supposedly...
He's a comedian.
He was tweeting about when WikiLeaks drops were going to come out of Podesta's emails. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Now, so he is allegedly been in cahoots with WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and whoever the fuck
but I think
else.
It's through a third person.
Yes.
And the other guy is also kind of being involved in this too. And there's a guy that was on Joe Rogan. I think it was last week or something like that. But he's a comedian who's tied to that kind of investigation as well.
Really?
Just because it's like he knows this guy through this guy through this guy. So they're like going back and talking to people about like pretty deep into these people's, personal lives. It's a deep investigation.
Man.
Yeah. So who knows?
Oh, Robert Mueller out here getting shit going.
And somebody brought this up the other day. I think it was on commentary. But how much have you heard from Ivanka Trump lately?
Oh,
not a lot.
Oh, shit. She had some type of scandal, right? Oh, her emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was using like a private server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't heard from her since then. She is not talking to nobody.
Disgraced Papa Trump.
In the way his number one enemy did.
Yeah.
Bro, you can't be doing that.
And you're blonde. You
Come on,
idiot.
girl. You smarter than that.
You idiot.
But she's hot, so nobody cares.
Word.
Everybody's just like, oh, she's just not talking. What's up?
She looks nice, though.
I mean, I don't listen to much of what comes out of her mouth anyways.
Yeah.
It's not very substantive.
Every
now and again.
Her and Jared Kushner.
Yeah. Okay, so before we finally wrap up the presidential things, there was something I wanted to ask you about Howard Schultz, right?
Yes.
So he's the CEO of Starbucks. Jay Inslee, our governor, had come out and said that he thinks that he should either drop out or pull out or join the Democrats and fight to be, win the primary as a Democrat and do it under the Democratic label, because otherwise you're going to be pulling voters away and you'll help reelect Trump. And so what are your thoughts on that idea of not voting for independents like Jill Stein or, Bernie Sanders or something like that?
That strikes me as a surprisingly ignorant statement. In first of all, the way that I do understand that Howard Schultz is like CEO of Starbucks, so people are like, oh, you're from the Pacific Northwest, you fucking liberal, whatever. But he also owns an enormous fucking company. Yeah. And like people are going to like that shit the same way they liked Donald Trump owning a company, even though he'd been bankrupt 4 times or whatever. You know? Howard Schultz, as far as I know, has never lost all of his money. Like he's, as far as I know,
with a little coffee shop and now it's worldwide.
So people are going to like that. And that's the same people, like I said, that liked that about President Trump. So he's not just going to pull votes away from the Democrats. He's going to pull votes away from the Republicans also. Yeah. Because he can appeal to all. That's why he's running as independent. Yeah. So that he can try and appeal to all people. Yeah. And I also think that's surprisingly ignorant because of this superdelegate bullshit. And Jay Inslee's a fucking superdelegate, I'm pretty sure. So you're an idiot because... And
he's also going to be running too.
Yeah, because all these people...
Like, no, he runs just drop out.
He runs all the time. Yep. Jay Inslee ain't winning shit.
Never.
Ain't winning shit. So no, that's...
Just wasting money.
Shockingly ignorant from a man who is himself a superdelegate in Washington State.
He's an idiot though.
Like decided to send his vote to Hillary Clinton when most people here wanted Bernie Sanders. You fucking idiot.
I believe that you had once said...
Shit.
Oh.
That's all right.
What did you drop?
My phone.
Oh, no.
That's all right.
But, I think it was on a couple shows ago. Because of Jay Inslee, hydroelectric power is now... It's not considered a green energy.
He's going to fuck everything up when it comes to... Y'all motherfuckers think that because he's a Democrat that he's going to look out for you when it comes to, climate change and all this shit, but he wants your tax money because take a look at Washington State. We got all this water, but for some reason it's not green because of the fucking fish and deer and whatever's going to get sucked up into it. Whatever, dude. I love animals too. I love animals. But that's green energy, son. That is green energy. That makes our state look way better. And then all those granola crunchy people can be like, we're like a really green state. We have all of this green energy and all this shit, like hydroelectric dams, fucking solar energy for, when it's sunny 5 days a year. And we have the wind energy because it's stormy all the time.
And we also smoke lots of ganja.
Yeah, that's dumb. Jay Inslee he's a prick.
Yeah.
Jay Inslee is a prick.
But that does...
Cory Booker's a douche.
That is a very common talking point when it comes to looking at how you feel about third-party candidates. Yeah. A lot of people are like, well, it's just stupid because they're going to pull votes away from us. And I think that's incredibly stupid.
That's dumb.
Because if people are having to settle for you... Yeah. Because you're just not the smellier piece of shit.
If
that is so undemocratic.
If that's going to be your argument, then you should also be in favor of doing away with superdelegates, because then that would be a valid argument, because now it's not. That's stupid. Like, there's enough superdelegates in every state. I'm pretty sure, right? And I'll fact check this, but I'm pretty sure that there's enough superdelegates in every state to provide a majority to flip it whichever way it's going to go. So what the fuck? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. That's ignorant.
That's the beautiful thing about politics these days.
Just for anybody who doesn't know what a superdelegate is, because I had to look it up. I didn't know. I was confused on what it is. I just knew delegates, superdelegates, right? So the way that the system works voting is that there's X amount of delegates from each state based on the population of the state, right? Is it proportionate to the amount of representatives? Is that what it is, or is it more than that? It's just that is
not
really
totally
matter.
sure.
So anyway, it's based on the population of the state. You have X amount of delegates for that state, right? And that's where the actual, what's it called, the electoral college. That's what this is, right? That's what the delegates are, right? So there's also a thing called a superdelegate in every state. Then, like I said, I think that is also, I think there's enough superdelegates in every state to provide a majority, right? And those superdelegates, the delegates that are there, are broken up by counties and by sections, districts, that's probably what they're called. And their vote in the Electoral College is based off of the votes from the people in their district, right? But the superdelegates can vote however they want, irregardless of how their districts voted. Even if, like I said, all of their districts voted for Bernie Sanders.
So irregardless?
They can, regardless.
I love that one.
Regardless of what you fucking
I'm sorry.
Look what you did.
I couldn't let it go.
Regardless of how their constituents voted. Like I said, even if they all voted for Bernie Sanders, they can still say that they want Hillary Clinton. And in that case, their delegation vote goes to Hillary Clinton. The Electoral College vote goes to Hillary Clinton, and the state goes to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So that is ignorant as shit.
It is. It's like a built-in loophole that you can tap into and use in an emergency, which they did. And it's part of the reason Bernie never got to be the candidate.
Yeah.
Because he would have been, he would have been the candidate, I think, against Donald Trump.
Oh, and he
would have
won.
still ended up.
I think he would have won. He would have. I think that he would have won. I don't have enough research or numbers on me for us to have a debate about it, or like even like a real big conversation. Mm-hmm. But I feel confident that, provided between the two choices, he would have. I think so.
I think so too. I really do.
I think it would have been close.
I think there was a lot of people that were just like, Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, no.
But I ain't voting for the other guy.
She's a terrible, terrible candidate.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, there's a difference between like not being qualified and just being a terrible candidate, you know, because you couldn't argue that she's not qualified. She's been in politics for a fucking bajillion years.
Her whole life.
She's more than qualified.
She knows
on
how
paper
it works
to be president. You know what I'm saying? But was a horrible candidate. That she's like the most untrustworthy candidate probably since Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
After Watergate. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
So I don't know what the deal was there. You know, I'm sure part of it was like the glass ceiling thing. You know, that like they would love to like have another it's gonna sound shitty, but like another minority president, you know, like that would be like a cool thing. But I also think that shitty as this is, there's some people that like the novelty had worn off, you know, like we just had like a black guy's president. So that's like, you know, fucking just do whatever. Like we don't need to have another woman president. Like it didn't seem as pertinent at that time because there was just another barrier that had been broken. You know, not only was he president, he was president for 2 terms, like for as long as you can be, and then he left. You know, people loved him, so I don't think that. I don't know. Like I said, I think it wasn't as big of a deal. I think that had Barack Obama not been president and Hillary Clinton she also would not have fucked around with these emails like she did if he wasn't president. She would have stood a better chance to be president, I think. Yeah. If Barack Obama had not been president. But I would rather him be president than her any day. So
yeah, right. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Any day.
You know, I get it.
Bet.
That's so funny.
That's what I think. That's what my, 2-3 year political educated mind thinks.
2-3-year-old?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's still pretty new.
So new.
So
and it's always trying to what's the word? Learn and stay up to date. I mean, it never stops taking it in.
Yeah.
So it has to grow. It is growing. And maybe one day when we're like 50, we'll actually know what the fuck we're talking about all the time.
We will have been around for long enough and had enough political experience to really kind of know what we're talking about. Like when Barack Obama was president, this happened. And then President Trump happened. And they're going to be like, oh, what dark times. Yesterday we were driving around and Jordan said, we were talking about Venezuela and stuff like that and like what we were going to talk about today. And she said, I can't wait to see what they write about him in the history books. And I'm like, it's going to be crazy. You know, it's going to, 2018, just in history books in general, is going to be like, shit was wild. You know, like that's what the chapter is going to be called. Is shit was wild. Like, yeah, it was insane. This guy became president.
Can you imagine?
It was fucked up. Like,
man. Yeah, just some of like the histories now we get from like the Revolutionary time and Civil War time.
Yep.
I mean, like another 20 years, we're going to have, I mean, there's books about it right now. This is all contemporary memoirs.
Now there's videos.
Everybody's got a book deal.
There's going to be pictures of his tweets, I bet, in the history books.
Oh, yeah.
Like just screenshots of his tweets.
Yeah.
Or certainly quotes from his tweets in there, you know?
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially because that's why he switched off that POTUS account.
Yeah.
From Twitter because, all this shit's going to be documented now.
Because it all goes right into Robert Mueller's pocket if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Robert Mueller's pocket.
Yep. If he tweets from the POTUS account.
That's right. It's all evidence.
Yep. So is that all we got for Democratic candidates?
Yeah, that was it.
Word.
We took a little sidetrack there a few times.
Good. You want to take a break or do you want to move on? What do you want?
We can take a break real quick and then come back to the only thing we really got left is the new abortion laws and abortion talk.
And then the House bill.
Yeah.
And then I only have a little bit of sports because we're just coming down to the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we can get the fuck out of here.
Word.
Cool.
So enjoy some Up and Left, baby.
We'll be right back, dog.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And welcome back, everybody. That was a great break. I'd say it was a great pick. I had a nice little. I had one of them little date bars, little snacky snack.
Is that what you were eating?
Yeah. Yeah, they're called RX bars. They're money.
Yeah.
It's all like dates, and there was the one I like is like dark chocolate with sea salt on it.
It looked good.
Wicked good.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for those like fig bars. Not fig bars. Date bars.
Our neighbor, Olivia, shout out Olivia, who just had twin girls. Like,
whoa,
maybe 6 months
congratulations.
ago. We brought her like a pot pie and some other shit. She saw us coming in for the circumcision yesterday and gave us a cheesecake.
Oh.
And just yesterday morning, I was in the shower and I was like, I want a fucking cheesecake so bad. And then not 4 hours later, she brought us one. So I'm going to eat that today when I get home. Because I didn't eat any last night, but I'm going to eat some today.
We went to Butcher and Baker last night. And which totally just found out later on that night from the girl that owns the wine bar that I used to work for the two people that started that place.
Really?
They were my head chefs when I was at that Port Gamble store. When I first got out of the Coast Guard, that was my first job.
Yeah.
And those two were my head chefs.
Word.
And when the restaurant essentially was going under and they sold it off, they went up and started Butcher and Baker. It's like, dude, that's insane. But I forgot the point I was making, but it was good. Delicious.
Food at Butcher and Baker.
Yeah, food's awesome. I don't remember. Oh, the desserts are huge there. Oh. That was the thing. And so we brought home some desserts last night when we and had like, what was it? It was a banana mousse cheese or cake.
Really?
Yeah, it was like it's deliciously layered. It had like a boozy caramel on it.
Fed them to your drunk wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have some of that. But really what it was is, usually you go in there, you order something, and it's a nice little slice, a big piece though, and but every now and again, if there's not enough to like technically make 2 pieces. They'll just give you the whole stack.
Oh shit!
So we walked out with a mass stack of cake. So we have lots of that left.
I like that.
Oh,
that's what's up.
Man, that's so good. So before we get rolling into this, have you ever seen the movie Midnight in Paris?
No.
Owen Wilson? Mm-mm. Oh, it was a good movie. We watched that last night. Highly recommend, especially if you're into like the 20s at all. Especially like the 20s in the like the artsy 20s.
What is it about?
It's about this guy who
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, this American couple goes to Paris, and he's like a writer, an aspiring writer, and he writes movies and stuff like that. And his wife's like super Americanized, like rich, snobby. But he ends up taking these walks in Paris, and then at midnight every night, like a car shows up, but it's this old timey 20s car, and gets in there, and then it takes him to these bars and stuff, and he meets all these like historical writers like Hemingway and all these artists. And
really,
yeah, it's really crazy.
That's kind of cool.
And then like at the end of every night, he's backed into his normal spot. But it's a good movie.
That's
weird. Little rom-com type thing.
Midnight in Paris.
It's a Woody Allen film. You ever watch much Woody Allen?
Yeah.
It was very much a Woody Allen film. We'll say that though. The dialogue, everything. I think if Woody Allen wasn't so old, he would have played the main character instead of Owen Wilson, because that's what he always does.
Like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood always in his own movies.
Yes, because Clint Eastwood could do that.
Clint Eastwood's great.
Okay, Woody Allen is weird, but Clint Eastwood is badass.
Yeah.
You know what's not badass? In my opinion, is the new abortion laws.
Oh my God!
One that came into New York.
I love it.
That was a rough segue.
I love it. Tell me about it, because I don't know about this one.
You don't know about these? Okay, so recently, the state of New York essentially abolished and changed the laws on the abortion legalities, and they made it legal to have essentially a late stage abortion.
Like up to how many weeks?
There is not really an up to anymore. It's kind of...
This is in New York State?
Yes. It's a New York State law. So there are late trimester abortions now allowed in...
How is that even constitutionally legal?
That's the thing. They're saying that this would reinforce Roe v. Wade.
What?
Because a lot of people are saying they're doing this, and you're seeing one now that we'll talk about in a minute in Virginia, and that people are saying is just this is passing state legislature in case the Supreme Court tries to challenge Roe v. Wade.
That is not how that works. And you
I know.
also can't pass state laws that are unconstitutional federally.
But
I mean, I guess shit.
Yeah, because there's nothing.
I guess you can,
because Roe v. Wade essentially set the bar for abortion to be considered a health risk and not, like a legal thing.
Yeah,
and that was what it really did, because it allows.
They set a guideline in there that after
Yeah, it's had a lot of, and that's in different states. Every state's different. They all add on to it and change it.
Yeah,
but essentially this is. It's pretty hardcore, man.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't...
How the fuck does that work?
I know. And I would be really interested, because it's just been, timing is a bitch, but it's weird that you just had a baby. And now I'm interested to kind of see because I think especially ever since you were pregnant, and you talked about how some of your views had started to change when you decided about kids. And
right. Because I do remember talking about that, where I was in a weird place that I am certainly in favor of a woman's right to choose. But at the point, I think Jordan was 16, 18 weeks pregnant, which is still within that 20 week, acceptable window, whatever.
The 24 weeks.
Where, I couldn't I don't know. At that point, if Jordan was I'm going to have an abortion, I would be like, what? Are you fucking serious? That's, I would have a really hard time with that, But that's also a very personal case, and in general, I would support a woman's right to choose for any number of reasons, So I guess I don't understand why it needs to be such a radical law. Like, why does it need to be that it allows late-term abortions? Because that just opens up a fucking, I don't know.
There is a libertarian argument to that. And it's one thing. So to kind of wrap up what New York has put in place, they've extended, they removed the provision allowing abortions after 26 weeks. That's what the new RHA does, which is the Reproductive Health Act in New York. It essentially allows abortions after the 24-week, rule right now.
And they're saying that it's intended that it'll probably get challenged.
Well,
and so their intent is for that to go up to the Supreme Court and try and reaffirm Roe v. Wade?
No, it's just they want to try to pass legislation that will concrete Roe v. Wade. And that's what I think in their minds, it's the government. Well, not in all their minds, but in some of their minds, like I said, there's a libertarian argument to this. The government has no business in telling you what you can and can't do with your body. And the problem with that comes along with that, other than say like the moral hurdles and all this stuff, is the fact that it also decriminalizes that, because right now it's a criminal offense
to have
it was anyways, and so now it's not illegal to do that, whereas before it was. But the problem is now they also removed the whole law factor out of it. So now there's worry that, and actually there's been a case where this happened, domestic abuse victims that are pregnant and lose the child due to their significant other, their husband or boyfriend or whatever, like punching them or something. They accidentally kill the baby or do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Before this law was in place, you could be tried for murder for the kid.
Right.
Even if you didn't kill the mother, like you could still be, but now you can't because it's not a criminal offense. It would just be the crime on the mother and not the infant. So that's another problem.
That's terrible. I also, man, I don't even know how you're going to find a doctor to do that, because a doctor, like Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm, and that at a certain point that will do harm to the baby. You know what I'm saying?
That's
the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, do doctors that perform abortions really do that? Have that code? They just probably don't think about it like that.
Man,
save one life. I mean, that is still the language is that it's to protect the life or health of the mother, and
unless you get your ass beat and your baby dies,
then no one's at fault for that, because it's not.
That is crazy.
It's a problem.
I wonder if that's something that was just overlooked, or if they were like, well, it'll be all right.
It'll be all right.
We'll figure something else out afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Governor Emperor Cuomo is calling for a relook at it and an adjustment of it during the 2019 sessions.
Will you tweet that at me?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I can figure out how, I'm going to keep it up so I don't lose it.
Do this
thing. Retweet.
Do a quote.
But I'm not signing it.
I'll
do it after the cast.
Way to go, Colin.
Now we're shifting now from New York, because that is legislation that has already been signed into law by Emperor Cuomo himself.
Emperor Cuomo.
Yes, that is Emperor. It's Skeletor and Emperor Cuomo. Those are nicknames I have for them. I don't have one for Schumer yet. But I don't like Donald Trump's. They're lazy. All his nicknames are lazy and they're terrible.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the nicknames, but just get better at it. You're really bad at it.
Donald Trump should call Nancy Pelosi Skeletor.
If you're going to be a troll, be a good troll. Okay, make this entertaining for me.
President Trump did call her Skeletor, I would not even be mad. I would be like, word. Be like, that's funny. Like, that's disrespectful as shit, but that's funny.
It's a beautiful thing about comedy. You can totally get away with it.
Yeah, I like that. That's funny. So,
we're going to shift from legislation that passed to legislation that's looking at being passed.
Proposed.
This is down in Virginia.
Word.
And this is essentially, it's the same type of thing, right? The same, very, very similar. But the difference here is there was some video of the senator who sponsored the bill trying to argue their case in front of the committee.
Kathy Tran.
Yeah, it was Representative Kathy Tran. And this is all in Virginia state legislation.
Word.
But yeah, she was arguing, and the committee was just essentially like, okay, so the woman is dilating and is about to give birth. Is that still okay? And essentially she walked around it for a long time, but she said, yeah, that's, there's nothing in our bill that says you can't do that. Oh, and then even worse than that, the governor of the state, who is obviously on board with this thing and wants to sign it, essentially he went on a radio talk show and said this on the talk show. I have that same tweet video too, which I will also send to you, because it is pretty atrocious. They're talking about essentially if the infant was, to be disformed or, not viable or something like that while it's being born, like you can still take it out, make the infant comfortable, and, resuscitate the infant if possible, and then the mother and the physician could have a conversation with what to do. That's what he said on the radio.
No.
Yes. He said that you can have the baby and then kill it. So
That's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would like to think that would never happen, because people should be better than that.
But why would you even open the door for that?
Exactly.
Why would you even allow that?
With as much abuse as there has been in that system, I think it's legit to regulate, man.
As much as these motherfucking Democrats are like, no, we can't even have Brett Kavanaugh in there because what if?
What if?
We can't even have Neil Gorsuch in there because what if? Can't have John Bolton or any of these motherfuckers in there because what if? Because we don't know they will, but what fucking if?
What if?
But now
fearmonger.
That's disgusting. That's fucking horrible.
Yeah. And so
I can't believe that he would even say that.
It's pretty.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
What a fucking idiot. Even if that is the case, even if that is the reality of the situation of your law, why would you say that?
Right.
Why would you say that? That's horrible.
Yeah,
That's
you should.
horrible
Yeah,
thing.
I can't wait for you to watch. It's cringeworthy.
That's fucked up.
He walks right into it. But at the very end of it, he makes the libertarian argument about, it's just not something, at the end of the day, I think the government should be involved with. It's not up to us.
You want to kill your baby, kill your baby. That's not, that's fine. That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no argument after the baby is born. That's a fucking baby.
Yeah.
That's not a fetus anymore. That's a
Infanticide.
fucking baby.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. It's,
That's fucked up.
yeah. And that, the really, really dangerous part about it is that definition of health. What constitutes that? Is that how it's going to impact your life afterwards, and then your life will be ruined? And so,
Right. So
statistically, I think that's pretty much the case with everybody has a baby. Your life drastically changes because now you have a whole individual human being you have to dedicate your whole life to.
that's crazy.
It's a thing that happens. It's why the stereotypical family man or something isn't a fucking billionaire, because he likes to spend time at home raising his family. But I don't know, man. It's messed up.
That's crazy. I'll have to think more about that. I will have to consider that over this next week, and we can discuss it again next week.
See, I am pretty stuck in my head about that. I just can't get over the fact that it's like, yeah, I get it, but if y'all are stupid enough to abuse it, which you already have, I can't trust you. I can't trust you. I would like to be able to do that, but y'all, that's crazy talk. So anyways,
well, and I just, as fucked up as this is, right, I see, as rare as it is, a scenario in which some R. Kelly motherfucker is taking pregnant women and marching them down to the hospital and making them abort their babies to fucking, I don't know, sell their organs on the black market or some shit, Like, that's...
Is it weird that I wouldn't put it past him?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can, like, some shit like that is not... That's not something that you couldn't read about on the news. Like that is definitely a thing that could exist in this world.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So
I mean,
why you would
especially R.
open the
Kelly.
door for that, I don't know. You know, and I don't mean R. Kelly in particular. I mean somebody who's fucked up like R. Kelly.
Yeah.
You know, but that's crazy. That is really fucked up.
Yeah. So hopefully, and you know, there's already been, you know, there's been some reversal legislation too that have been tightening up. So,
Man,
it's just, I don't know. Everybody's batting down the hashes, taking their corners, man. Everybody's, you know, all these states are kind of aligning differently. I hope it doesn't, you know, go down much deeper.
that's bad.
Yeah. Especially if, you know, depending on how much truth is behind the conversation going behind the motivation as a political one to protect Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
To kind of give it more maybe
Yeah, that's
precedence to look
bullshit.
at. Like that's
bullshit.
you know, I don't think you have to worry about that for one. I think that's pretty much we've solved that issue, but I don't know. It's complicated, man. Everything about it's so complicated.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
But yeah, from people killing babies to vaccinations, people killing babies. I didn't think about that until
So there
just
was
now.
a House bill that was introduced in our state, Washington State, that is House Bill 1638, which would remove the philosophical exemptions for vaccinations for children. So as it sits right now in this state, you can, like, vaccinations are mandated for, like, to go to school and stuff like that, to go to public school, unless you have a medical or a philosophical objection, where, you know, for, like, if you're a Christian Scientist or a Jehovah's Witness or some shit like that. I'm pretty sure Jehovah's Witness also don't do vaccinations. But also if you know, think that they give your kid autism or something like that, then you can choose not to do it. So
In
this
some states.
bill, yeah. And so this bill, we've not done research into it, so we're not going to talk about the particulars of the bill. We are talking in generalities about the idea of the bill as I
got a few
understood
deets,
it.
too,
Works.
if you want.
So I don't personally have any details,
Okay.
but we can absolutely go over what you have. So I just thought it would be interesting to talk about, right? Because initially I was like, yeah, fuck them and fuck your exemption. Get your kids vaccinated. Protect your kids. Protect me. Protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? Fucking hide your kids, hide your wife. They're out here
Exactly.
raping everybody. So
kids. I love the remix song of that, by the way. So good.
But after like a few minutes, I told Jordan, I was like, I don't know that that's the case. Like I said that very quickly, and I don't know that's the case because like you said earlier, the libertarian part of me says like, I don't like the government telling me what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? Because, and not just in general, but when it pertains to things I have to put in my body, because if you're saying that you have to get these vaccinations and you're just going to keep coming up with new vaccinations, I just got to keep getting the shit that you're saying that you're coming up with.
And that's looking
you.
at the past as well. I mean,
know
that's
what
just
I'm saying?
focusing on yourself.
So-
But too, you could like, now you're forcing parents to do that to their children.
Yeah.
Who now has to grow up and live with that too. But so I get it. From a libertarian standpoint, that's a tough one to deal with.
Yeah.
Because there's always that, you know, we just talked about what ifs, but there's always, again, a what if.
What
You
if,
know,
man?
What if, you know, what if if they were really turning the frogs gay and now they want to turn everyone else gay? It's a total
Interdimensional
conspiracy.
vampires.
Yeah. God, Alex Jones. That guy's life is coming to an end hard. He's
I
getting
saw
hurt.
on History Channel the other day something that was about like the Illuminati and the Masons and stuff, and they had Alex Jones on there, and I was like, you just instantly delegitimized yourself. Like, why would you have him on here as some type of radio host, fucking specialist to talk about the Illuminati and shit? Like, you look dumb now. You're supposed to be the History Channel, and you have fucking Alex Jones on one of these documentaries. You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but Discovery Channel also does Bigfoot, and they also do Ancient Aliens, and all this.
Yeah.
It's like almost conspiracy 101 now.
Yeah, it's bad. Ancient Aliens is real bad. That first season they did was like, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
And after that, it's all, you know.
Like, oh, I get this.
Ancient astronaut theorists believe, you know.
Yeah.
that,
That's like the whole, like the pyramids were, you know, at least we were assisted in their construction by aliens. If not, the aliens built them themselves. Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
Do you think it did it all by themselves?
I think so. I think humans have made incredible feats of engineering since since we could learn to make tools, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. You know, the aqueduct system of the Romans is insanity.
Yeah.
But even before that, I mean, we figured out irrigation, for God's sakes. You know, we're some pretty ingenuitive people. I wouldn't be surprised when every now and again people do something amazing. Mm-hmm. That's why we have wonders of the world, right? Not just the natural wonders. And we also have problems like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where we're just a bunch of dumbasses who can't build something on solid ground.
I guess I don't know enough about actual construction and masonry. Because I've always been on the tilt that I'm like, I don't know. It's a pretty perfect structure, you know. Pretty perfect. That's a long way to move those fucking several ton bricks. It's a long way to move
I just have
blocks.
much more faith in humanity than you do, John.
Yeah, maybe.
See, I believe in us.
Just because it was a long time ago that I'm like, I don't know.
I almost subscribe to some of the.
I believe that the dinosaurs helped them build it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely.
It's not the case.
The Pharaoh riding a T-Rex. Yeah. Look out, Moses.
The Brontosaurus picks it up in bricks.
Yeah. I mean, that would be... They're too big to even do that.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, they're big. Some pretty amazing stuff. But
I don't know that much.
See,
about
with an army of
either.
slaves and some basic mathematics.
With an army of slaves, anything is possible.
Yeah. I'm just saying. But okay, so back to this.
Yes.
This vaccine
Your
law.
specifics about the vaccines.
I don't know if you remember back when we were talking about what bill was it? I don't know. Probably just during the midterms when there was a bunch of legislation passed.
Okay.
And they had a new mandate on how to, draw up bill. What's the word? Changes, amendments and stuff like that. Where now, at least on the state legislature, everything they added to a bill has to be underlined. And it's a short bill, and there's only 2 areas in which they changed, and they all focus on that one piece of, like you said, about that philosophical difference. So I wanted an exemption because I'm a Christian Scientist or whatever like that. But they also added you must provide proof of disease immunity through documentation of laboratory evidence of antibody titer or a healthcare provider's big word. But basically, you have to have a doctor sign off on it and give proof that you're immune to the disease.
Or that you're allergic to the vaccine.
Yeah. You have to have medical, essentially, you can get an extra medical waiver. And you don't have to if your doctor cannot give you a waiver, but prove that you are immune to it and provide evidence.
Yeah.
But it gets away with that. Yeah, like that, almost like that. I have a fundamental difference because I believe that they cause, autism and so on and so forth.
Which is ignorant, by the way. Just so everybody knows.
It's incredibly stupid. But that's literally the only thing.
There's no research to back that up scientifically.
Yeah. So if you want to check it out, it was a pain in the neck to try to find. I had to go in. Basically, I searched out the bill, and I got a bill with the same number a couple of sessions ago. And it was something about totally different. I was like, oh, is this the right one?
This is not it.
And then there was a whole trail of the same exact bill trying to be amended and changed by a giant group of Republicans kind of doing the opposite and making it so that it can reaffirm your First Amendment right. It's a freedom of speech act, thing. You have to honor that because somebody says no.
That's just dangerous, bro. That's dangerous. Like there's, I don't know. I'm all about free choice, but there's some shit that's dangerous. No one needs to have polio. No one has to have polio. That's unnecessary. No one needs to have measles. No one needs to have mumps or rubella or any of that weird shit. It's unnecessary now. Yeah. It's not like the flu shot.
You want to have the apocalypse hit the fucking post-apocalyptic zombie wasteland, but without the zombies. That's what you do. Everybody stops vaccinating. We'd have a black plague on our hands that's, a factor of 10 more. Yeah. It would wipe out so many people.
And like I said, it's not like the flu shot. It's not like it's a chance, you will not get that disease if you are not, allergic to the vaccination or anything, you will not get that disease. You will not get polio. You will not get measles. You will Yeah. dumb.
And if for some reason you do have a medical problem and you're allergic to it or something like that, you rely on everyone else to be vaccinated around you.
So check this.
It never have a thing to come back to.
So check this. My sister-in-law, right? Erin, her baby is only 9-10 months old, right? So he's not old enough to have those vaccinations yet, right? You get some when you're like at 2 months, but not all of them, right? And so, and I don't know exactly how they get broken down. I don't know what you get at 2 months. I don't know what you get at 2 years. I don't know yet, right? I will know, Dax's appointment is fucking next month, so I'll know next month exactly what he gets. But her kid's not totally vaccinated yet because he's not old enough to have all of his vaccinations. Yep. And he got sick the other day. Just regular like kid sickness. She has a friend who has 3 children who she does not vaccinate.
Oh boy.
It's like, and now I'm in a place where I don't know if I want Kevin to be hanging out with, this other person's kids because he's not vaccinated and her kids aren't vaccinated by choice. Now there's like measles and shit going around in the state and, it's getting closer and closer to like Kitsap County and stuff. And so it's just like, I don't know that I want him to hang out with them, Yeah. And so Jordan was talking to him, was like, that's totally legitimate. Like that, you're not being a bad friend by wanting to protect your child. You're being a good parent, Like that's not, you're not judging her for her choice by choosing to not have your kid around her because you also have to make your own choice. Yeah. That I'm going to vaccinate him, but I also want to keep him safe until I can do that, So.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's in no way like a helicoptering parent thing.
No.
This is a baby you're talking about here that has no way to fend for themselves. And it's your sole duty on the planet at that point is to give that life a chance to blossom.
Yeah.
And And so anyways, that's the dealio with that bill. It's only a 2.5 page. Okay. Maybe it's 3.5 page long bill. It's pretty short. But so I was trying to track it down. That was the point I was trying to make. Sorry, I totally forgot.
No, you're good.
I ended up having to go through. I Googled it and I went to all these other bills that weren't the same one from all in the past, and I actually had to just use the website, like browser and stuff like that, to go at it like the back doorway, like use the menu drop downs.
Yeah,
and that's the only way I could find it. It wouldn't pop up when I was looking at the Google. There was one article that did. It was like the Northwest. It was a local online magazine, but they talked about that being an issue and the bill coming up and stuff like that. But they had a link to it, thank goodness. But after I accidentally closed it, I had to go in through the back way.
Yeah. So at 2 months, your kid gets a Tdap, which is fucking diphtheria. Jesus Christ. Tetanus, pertussis. Gets a Haemophilus influenza type B vaccine, a polio vaccine, pneumococcal vaccines, and a rotavirus vaccine, and Hep B if you didn't already get it. But he got that shit. There's something you get like as soon as they're born, which is like hepatitis B, it's a vitamin K shot, and then like one other thing that is just all like, shit. And they asked us like, do you want him to get these, 3 things. We're like, fuck it. Like the vitamin K is to like help their eyes develop. That's what it is, to help their eyes come to a little bit easier. Oh, the third one is a gel that they put over their eyes too, and that just clears their shit up. And helps like protect from infection while they're just new and stuff like that. And then the what am I saying? Hepatitis B.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they do all that like within just hours of them being born. Yeah.
Pink.
Yep. Yeah.
That's good, man. I can only imagine you're just giving that thing a little bit more help while he's just this little, perfectly clean, brand new. Welcome to our fucking environment.
So the measles, mumps, and rubella must be a 2-year vaccine and not a 2-month vaccine, or like 18 months or what the fuck ever. But so I think that's totally legitimate to not want her to have her kid around kids who are not vaccinated by choice, when there's something like that rolling around. That's all you can do is just only have your kid around other people that are vaccinated and will not spread that disease, know, and I got all my vaccinations, like I'm good to hold a baby, so that's
like that story we told about Carolina's work person the other day. Like, that's terrifying to all of a sudden
Yeah.
have a bunch of little, disease bags walking in around you when you're not immune. It's got to be tough. But that's, I think that's pretty much wraps up that bill. I mean, there's nothing really much added to it. And I think it's, I have no problem the government kind of mandating it right now. It's just, it kind of, I guess in that branch of the government, I feel like I can trust them enough to not take advantage of it.
Yeah.
For now, but because there's nothing to really to lose.
Yeah. So I'm just getting down to my pop culture real quick.
Your poppy culture.
Yeah, because I haven't really done that much. We're watching a lot of the same movies because we're just doing, we're not paying attention all the time. So we've watched Avengers Infinity War about 30 times.
Nice.
Because it's super duper long and, you just don't have to pay that much attention to it. Comic Book Men, all 6 seasons are on Amazon. So I've been watching all those. I watched Venom.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty all right. And then
pretty all right.
There's a new documentary series on Netflix about Ted Bundy. That's called the Ted Bundy.
I thought
tapes.
I saw something like that.
I've been watching that, and it's fucking pretty interesting. And then before I stopped going to work, I was listening to a podcast called Unobscured. I don't know if I told you about that or not, but
Sounds familiar.
I think I did tell you about it because that's where I got all those cool names from. And it was about the Salem witch trials, and it was really interesting. And do you have? I know you've been really busy. Do you have any pop culture stuff that you've been?
Dude, no. I mean, we watched that
Midnight
movie
in
last
Paris?
night. Yeah, that was really good, actually.
Yeah,
Especially if you're someone that's likes writing and stuff, like I do, or art or anything like that. And it was a trip. Definitely a Woody Allen movie. So if you're not a Woody Allen fan, it may not do it for you. Because just the way he writes dialogue and everything, it's just it's very Woody Allen.
very particular.
Have you ever seen the movie Ants?
Yes,
That's a Woody Allen movie.
yeah.
And that's just he even voices, I think, the main character in that one.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's goofy. But yeah, no, you catch my little attempt at my hunting experience podcast?
No, the only podcasts I've really have had any time for have been the fucking daily ones because I really only listen to podcasts while I'm in the shower, so I've got 10 minutes.
Dude.
So yeah, so those are the only ones that I've had, but I have it in my queue for when I go back to work.
Nice.
Because I do want to listen to it. I just haven't had time with everything.
It was a interesting time.
Yeah,
It's up for so long.
right.
So long. But
Right.
you're so much excitement and all this stuff. You don't feel it until you feel it.
Yeah.
And then you crash hard.
Well, I'll try and listen to it this week so we can talk about it next week.
Word.
We'll see what I can get in there.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm ready for sports. Word. So I only have a couple of things. Like I said, because football's pretty much over. The Cowboys. What's up?
I was like, before you get into stats and stuff, do you
Yes.
just want to chat about the Super Bowl? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do it after your facts? Or anything?
Yeah, there's only a couple of things here, so we'll do
Okay.
these real quick. The Cowboys fired their offensive coordinator, Scott Linehan, and the Chiefs wide receiver, D'Anthony Thomas, which I'm irritated I did not wear my jersey today because I have a D'Anthony Thomas jersey. He got arrested on some bullshit marijuana charges. Suspicion of possession of marijuana and paraphernalia because he's in fucking Missouri. He played at Oregon. He's great. He only played 5 games this year, then he broke his leg in practice. But that sucks really bad.
Pisses me off. Hemp is legal now, people. Come on. Just roll it over. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's
killing me
stupid
here.
as hell.
When I was hunting, we were watching the buddy that he got a hotel room up there for all of us. Big ass suite stuff. It's really nice. And, his room. So it was his TV for sure.
Right.
And he likes this show called Live PD. You ever seen that?
Yeah. Okay.
It's trippy, but it was messed up because I'm sitting there. I got a joint in my pocket, getting ready to go outside and smoke. And I'm watching guys get arrested for weed.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Sad times, bro. Sad times we live in where motherfuckers still getting arrested for weed.
Live. Watching it go down.
Live on TV.
That is so wrong.
Yeah.
That is so wrong.
That's a strange show.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts my life.
The Lions linebacker Trevor Bates was arrested and accused of punching a cop.
Whoa, don't do that, man.
Yeah. And then this
Especially
is
not on Live PD.
no. And this is just kind of a fun little fact, right? So the first time that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, right? I think was in like 2008 or some shit like that. It was
Worst
a long time ago.
day of my life.
It was against the Rams, and the first time that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, Julian Edelman, you know, that's receiver, right? He was 15 years old. Rob Gronkowski was 12 years old. And then Sony Michel, who was their rookie running back this year, was 6 years old. The first time that Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl.
That was like I saw that in a meme.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah.
And now they all stand a chance to win a Super Bowl together, which I think is fucking insane.
Fucking, that's weird.
6 years old. Yeah. I know. Isn't that weird? And I told you that there's Adam Vinatieri on the Colts. He plays with somebody who wasn't alive when he joined the league. Like, wasn't even born yet when he joined the league. And now they play on the same team together.
Like Janikowski, too, because he's such like an old, fat trailer trash, pack-a-day smoking football player. I swear to God, he runs into where the cameras aren't looking and sucking down a cigarette in between, you know. He's the weirdest guy. So go ahead.
Bowl? No, that's it.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. It's tomorrow.
I have mixed emotions, but not really. I want the Rams to win so bad.
Really?
Because at this point, it is just a fuck Tom Brady moment.
Yeah.
Although I'm worried because I think if he wins this time, he'll go away. I think if he wins, he'll retire.
He said that he wants to play till he's 45. He said even, so he got asked, if you lose, if you win, are you done? He said, nope. I want to play till I'm 45.
45.
He's
40,
Why? He's 42.
I mean, he doesn't have any worry about CTE, basically, because you can't touch the guy without getting like a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, not anymore. He used to get his ass beat. But, not anymore. There was some calls in those last games that was like bullshit. And there's a lot of people that like shouldn't come down to the calls or shouldn't whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they're still bullshit calls, you know. That was a weird weekend of football.
That's what I heard, yeah. I wasn't really watching at the time.
Yeah. There was like a really flagrant pass interference call that didn't get called and like
on the Hawks?
No,
during the game?
No, yeah.
I was like, because we had one of those during our playoffs game.
Yeah, no, this was during the Saints-Rams game. And the Rams corner just came and fucking bashed the receiver for the Saints like before the ball was even over there. You know? It was, and they didn't call it. And then there was one in the Kansas City Patriots game where someone like touched Tom Brady and they called from the passer. It's bullshit. There's just a lot of like really stupid fucking calls.
I was really rooting for the Saints, man, because with Drew Brees breaking that record this year, can you imagine just the Saints icing on the cake? You do that, you get to the Super Bowl, you get a ring, and then there's literally nowhere to go but down from there. Yeah, I'm out.
I would also.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Picture perfect.
I wanted him to win really bad.
Sometimes in sports, that kind of shit happens too, and it was kind of, you know, at least now I'm just envisioning like a fucking mountain goat smashing into Tom Brady this week. I'm just, God, I really hope. At least if they win, I want him to get beat up.
Yeah.
I just want him to get some pressure on. I want him to work for it. I don't like Tom Brady at all, man.
I'm excited.
But I'm still excited for the Super Bowl in general.
Yes.
You know, because it's just fun. You know, it doesn't matter who's playing. Then you sit there and you drink, you watch commercials.
Stupid commercials.
The food is there's always tons of food.
Yeah.
I was listening to stats on the radio. They were talking about how much food gets eaten, how much beer gets drank.
Really?
I don't have the stats, but needless to say, it was a shit ton.
What are you guys doing for the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Probably going over to Morgan and Jake's.
Words.
Just fun. We ran into them last night on our date night.
At that restaurant?
Yeah. It like,
you guys are so lame.
It was like it was probably like 5-10 minutes maybe after we sat down. Yeah. They walked in and was like, well, this is perfect. Come on, guys.
You guys are so lame.
But I went down to the wine bar afterwards, drank some champagne. It was nice.
Classy motherfucker, you.
Absolutely. That's what I just live class, bro. My life is class.
Yeah. Class.
Brush it off.
I was going to say something else. What the fuck was Oh, Super Bowl. We are, because he got circumcised yesterday, he's still super fussy, so we may very well just stay home tomorrow, which would be really nice. So
Yeah, I think you have the perfect excuse
yeah.
to get out of anything you want for a long time.
Yeah. So that's going to be really cool. I did learn while I was in the hospital from the lactation nurse that breast milk kills 40 different kinds of cancer.
Whoa.
Yep.
That's some numbers.
So,
wow.
yeah.
So, like, have we figured out a way to just dry that shit, powder it, and make it a pill?
You just drink it. So when
I don't want to drink breast milk, but I want the benefits.
Before the baby was here, Jordan was pumping to like try and induce labor, and I was like really sick those last like 2 weeks, you know. And I totally drank some of that colostrum. Do you know? Have you heard that term before?
No.
So colostrum is like what comes before your milk comes in.
Oh.
And it's just it's like stem cells, I'm pretty sure. Or like it's just all like crazy good shit. And I totally drank some colostrum and like felt way better the next day.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like a real thing. The lactation nurse was like, yeah, no, bodybuilders will buy breast milk because there is stem cells in it. And there are these things in breast milk that are called GMOs. And I don't know what that stands for. I don't remember what that stands for. The only purpose of these GMOs is to populate the flora of the baby's stomach.
Wow.
Only purpose.
The good kind of GMOs.
Yeah. It's like, that's the whole purpose, is to just put probiotics in there and just populate the stomach for like when you get older. And so that's one thing that you can miss out on if you are not breastfed. That is not to say that you will not have that flora if you are fed formula, because you absolutely will. But the GMOs, that's the only purpose that particular chemical has.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, we're mammals at the end of the day. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine what a sickly Bambi deer would be if like all you had to feed it was formula? The deer wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, I mean, and luckily the formula we have now is, I mean, formulated, like they say, to
it's a
be
lot better.
fucking crazy good, you know, and there's lots of good shit in there, but there's just some things that are in breast milk that, and I don't know, people are really weird about that, so I'm trying to be careful about not like slandering anybody, because it's not, I don't think that there's like one over the other. I think if you can't do it, then I think it's totally fine and your baby's gonna be just fine, you know?
And I'm thinking more like, you think about like the 70s.
Right.
And stuff when it was like powdered milk.
Shitty formula.
Yeah. That was no good.
The fucking Similac and all generation that stuff of people. Yeah, Similac and all that shit now is like way good. You know, all the formula now is way good. But
it's like buying supplements. It's like getting workout shakes almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's got, you know, all those things are just loaded with, not all of them, but, you know, the good ones are loaded with like just everything your body needs, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a good way to have a fake fast. Which, by the way, formula. I didn't ever talk to you about this, but my dietary situation, right? I was still losing weight and all this stuff. I finally went and talked to the doc. Essentially, like where I'm at now is I just kind of like my body's just getting used to like the new everything after like the hard reset. And so I'm still kind of a little fluctuating. But for the most part, like I told her, like every now and again, I would still like to like fast a day or two a week, you know? And she's like, that's totally fine. She's like, you went down fasting, so your body's used to fasting. And right now, like you could actually have some health benefits to just doing it a couple times a week. But I never do it on Fridays.
No.
Never. Because for one, it's Friday night.
Right.
If I'm going out or something, I'm not even trying to do that. You know, I want a big, greasy cheeseburger. Oh, don't say cheeseburger. Why am I so hungry? Every time we do the cast.
Last night, Jordan made these fucking lasagna Alfredo roll-ups, bro. That's like lasagna noodle, and then she put like shredded chicken and cheese and Alfredo sauce in there, and then rolled it up, and then put it in a springform pan, and then put Alfredo on top of it, and then baked it. Ooh, dog. Delicious.
Why are you doing this to me right now?
So good.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It is definitely not too early for when we wrap this up for me to just be like, all right, we're having early dinner.
No, not at all. And that's all I have for sports, so we can fucking hit a line and get the fuck out of here.
Word.
All right, here we go. Are you ready? All right. Big weekend this weekend, man. Are you planning on getting locked in the bathroom of your cousin's Winnebago for 3 days?
I don't do that shit on the weekend, bro.
Only to miss work.
Yeah.